It's been 2 weeks since its release, and we're still receiving new developments in the case of Dave Chappelle's latest Netflix special, The Closer. This time, comedian Flame Monroe gave her thoughts on the comedy special on several platforms, including CNN and on the Laugh Factory's YouTube page. In an interview with CNN's Pamela Brown, Flame was asked if she sees why some found jokes in the special to be offensive and people wanted it to be removed from Netflix. Flame responded that she does not see that side. In addition to this, she also revealed that Dave called her and she hopes to be opening up for him soon. Today we have our comedy hype analyst, Vanessa Fraction, in the studio, with Capone and Pierre calling in, and we have to ask, will Flame Monroe support in Chappelle's backlash? But first, let's take a look at this clip.
It's good to be a comic.
First of all, I thought that Dave Chappelle was hilariously funny on this special. He did touch on a lot of truths and he stepped on a lot of toes. But a lot of the things that he said needed to be said and were very true. I hate that my LGBTQIA plus community, my community, we want to keep on taking, but we don't want to give.
And there's three dogs, like I said, I have in this fight. As a comedian, I don't want to be censored. As a trans woman, I want equality. And as a Black person, I want fair treatment in this country that we've been trying to get for 400 years. So everything is important to me. All of this, what you can say and cannot say, is ridiculous.
And I want to be fair to each and every one of those platforms. What I heard from Dave Chappelle's latest special was the overpouring of racism that he talked about. I understand that he's talked about the transgender community, and some of the things were painful to hear, but funny, because as a comedian, that is our safe place. That is where we are the safest on stage, where we should feel like we should be able to say anything. Nina Simone said it best. How can you be an artist and not speak about the times?
Now, I know that was a couple clips coming from, some of her interviews, but I want to come to you first, Pierre. In seeing those, what were your initial reactions?
I've known Flame for a while. I'm a friend of Flame's, and also as my homegirl T.S. Madison. I spoke with her. I agree. Comics should not be canceled for what they say. This is absolutely ridiculous because, what's going to be the next thing that you can cancel somebody for? If you keep doing that, you shouldn't be. I don't believe in malicious comedy, where it's hateful speech. There's comedy and there's hateful speech. But then there's also a thing she says as a transgender, we should get to know transgenders better and stuff. Well, that sounds nice. Some people don't want to get to know transgenders better. Just don't go support it. Don't go watch her if a transgender is on the show. But that doesn't mean she should get not equal timing or be in society looked at as a person. I don't think that. But if someone doesn't want to dig into no pun intended, to transgenders, let it be. Let that be. If they don't want to do it, they don't want to see it, support, that's fine. There's no wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? As long as you don't maliciously want something to happen to that person because they're transgender. So I don't have a problem with it, but like I said, the council comedians, because they say stuff about transgender, is absolutely wrong because we talk about everything. Then what's the next line? Can't talk about hood rats. Can't talk about white people dancing. Can't talk about somebody being poor, somebody being handicapped, uneducated. Where does it stop?
Right. Now, I want to come to you next, Capone. What were your reactions when seeing those?
My opinion is that we're spending a lot of time on this. And, to each his own, who you sleep with or whatever your preference is or whatever that is. I just have a problem that when Dave Chappelle did the comedy about hanging and did the comedy about slavery, nobody had nothing to say. There was nothing at all to say, and it just seems like that's accepted. That's entertainment. It's funny to everybody. But as soon as you speak about anything about the nut letters, the LGBT plus people, it becomes a problem with any and everybody. I speak and I find things funny. I agree with Pierre. Nothing should be malice to hurt anybody's feelings. But if there's things that you see that are funny, it is what it is. I mean, I'm sitting here watching Flame, and I never saw him before. I don't know him, and everybody's like her. What is the line? Is because she's a man, or do it automatically change because she's a transgender and she becomes her? And I'm actually sitting here watching titties, and I'm amazed at it. And so my thing is just, it's hard to have an opinion about something that you don't know about, but what are we bringing to the table is what I want to know. Like, what is the conversation that we have when there's so much? We haven't had a conversation about the borderline when these guys was on horses beating Haitian people. We haven't had that conversation. We haven't had that conversation about the racism towards Black people, but all of a sudden we should come to the table. I mean, what I really feel is I wish that the gay community would teach Black people how to come together and get our equal rights, because they did a damn good job at coming together and proclaiming what they needed to proclaim to get their rights heard, to get their rights answered, and all of that. So I wish we had, as Black people, that same kind of lesson. And there's Black people in the LGBT that could teach us.
I think too, Capone, I think you make a great point. I think the reason why we are having this conversation is exactly that. You know, there are people on both ends, and Dave, you know, did attempt to try to, you know, bring it closer together. But I do want to bring over to you, Vanessa, in seeing those interviews from Flame Monroe. What are your initial thoughts?
I didn't particularly like his special. It wasn't hilarious to me. I didn't hear a bunch of truth bombs being told. I think one of the greater things is that, yeah, we're having a conversation about some societal things that need to be talked about. The way that we treat each other as humans needs to be talked about, and that was some of the points that he was making. I think he has every right to make whatever points he wants to make. You know, I don't think that it should be taken down. I agree with Netflix for keeping it up. He didn't say I can't remember that he said anything that was.
So what about specifically about like Flame Monroe's support for Dave Chappelle? Because in the interview she's saying
Flame can support whoever Flame wants to. If Flame found it funny, then support the funny. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's about the comedy. You know what I'm saying? If you found it hilarious, to each his own. As I believe Capone said about to whomever you want to sleep with, well, I say to each his own, to whomever you find funny. Right. If you found Dave funny and you want to continue to support him and watch more stuff like this or what have you, keep doing it. I'll be honest, if it wasn't my job, I wouldn't have watched the whole thing because it wasn't hilarious to me, but that's my right. And you know what I mean? It's easy as flipping to the next thing or waiting for the next special if I choose to tune in at that time. So the whole cancel thing and what people can say and sensitivity and things like that, you know, it can get a little, you know, it can get a little rocky and we get really passionate when we have freedom of speech. Dave can say that if he wants to. I can say what I want on stage.
Right. And I think she says that, right, where she talks about, you know, Flame Monroe talks about, you know, if this basically the same door that you came in is the same door you can leave. If you don't like it, just don't watch it. I know for me in watching her, and I'm going to come to you, Pierre. I know for me in watching her is what I did appreciate in her interview. And it's not even for me, her defending Chappelle. That, like you said, to each his own. But for me, I did like her acknowledging that she has 3 dogs in the fight. But when she broke it down for me, that's when it really hit home, because she, you know, she said, yes, I identify as transgender, but I can hide that. Yes, I'm a comedian, but I can hide that. But at the end of the day, I am Black. And so many times we see when we're having these discussions, it's like, it's us and them. Like, oh, we're Black, and oh, you're in the LGBTQ plus community, excuse me. But it's like we're all one at the end of the day. Like, you know, whether you're in the LGBTQ plus community, if you're Black, you're still Black. So for her to even acknowledge that for me was when it was like, wow, I appreciate you giving, or me hearing that from someone who identifies as transgender and is a Black person. So I want to come to you, Pierre. I know you're about to chime in. What were you going to say?
What you just said. Yeah, but when it's funny, when I mentioned, you know, we all should help together to get rid of prejudice or discrimination or whatever it is, Blacks and transgender, help each other out to get it done. I always get the blowback. We've been slaves for, 200, 400 years. They're just coming around to it, whatever. But I understand, just like when you go to AA meetings, you get around like-minded people to help fight a situation. So that's just my thing. But I just hope the support that Dave is receiving is not based upon his level. Okay, that means another comedian who ain't as big as Dave, who talks about the transgender in a funny way, whatever it is, I don't want that person to get canceled. Or I want to see people like Flame and T.S. Madison, whoever else, other people, these celebrities, to get behind that person too. So I hope it ain't riding somebody's nuts because they really famous, no pun intended, because they big time.
Real, most of this is riding Dave's nuts.
I've seen them many a times when a smaller comic does not get the same, support from people.
Right. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, if we're keeping it real, most of this is I stand with Dave, and all this other stuff is I guess you could say riding his nuts. Some of it is, because of what he's put into it. So, you know what I'm saying? I give you respect because of who you are or whatever. But still, I think that people can be held accountable for what's funny and what's not, for, you know, if this set was banging or not, you know, and it's okay for me to respect your overall career, but for me to also say like, I could have went without this one. You know what I mean? And that's okay, you know, so I think a lot of this is riding.
I guess we can. I'm going to take it to our main question. I know it seems like y'all are already answering. I'll start with you, Vanessa. So, do you think Flame Monroe's support? And let me kind of leverage what I mean. So, we know sometimes, you know, when you hear things that are hurtful, when you see someone that is like you or in the same community as you, in this particular instance, it's easier for you to digest. So, do you think Flame Monroe's support of Dave, whether it's for A or B, will be easier for people from the LGBTQ plus community to digest, or, you know, kind of lessen his backlash that he's receiving?
No, I think that people are individuals, and if you, well, one, I will say if you want to be big mad, you can be mad. And some people just kind of want to be mad. Don't talk about us at all, keep it to yourself, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know if it's made it easier, if you will, because I think that people are kind of taking jokes and things that are said at face value. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? Some of the things were unpleasant to hear, and Flame said that as well, said that some things were a little rough to hear, even though I can laugh at some things or what have you. So I don't think it softened anything. I just think that Flame was giving an objective view of the situation.
Right. Come on, I'll bring that same question to you. Do you think Flame Monroe's support will, you know, help end or lessen Chappelle's backlash that he's receiving?
I don't really think Dave is worried about the backlash. That's number one. Number two, I can't really, I don't know how to answer that question because I just don't know where all of this sensitivity stuff comes from. You know, when you say something, and here's the problem that I have. If you say something about trans or a gay person, they get offended. But if they come at you any kind of way, it's just supposed to be accepted. And that's kind of hard for me to swallow, you know. It's just like, it's unfair all around. Whatever you feel that's on your chest, I'm a comedian, and I say certain things. I talk about gay people. I don't say nothing in malice. I find certain things funny. For a man to hello and all of that type of stuff is funny to me. And it has nothing to do with, you know, there's a difference to me. That there's a difference in a gay man who's proud to be a gay man that has another gay man. And then they got the ones that are a little bit flamboyant, that just do the extra. Hello, excuse me. And they try to come at men like me, the regular men, that I don't go that way. So I make fun of it. And that's all I'm saying. It's unfair in a whole lot of different places.
Absolutely. Now, I'll come to you, Pierre. Same question. Do you think, you know, the support of Flame Monroe's will help end or lessen Chappelle's backlash?
It won't end it, but it definitely lessens it when we see people of the community he's talking about support him in it. So it shows that all LGBTQ, plus, whatever, aren't against Dave Chappelle. It shows, and they shouldn't be. I understand the pain. You know, people don't like to be teased, and it's probably deeper than I realized. I talked to my friend T.S. Madison. She tells me more about the way the transgenders have to go through and being scared. You know, people are trying to beat them up and all that kind of extra stuff. We don't live that life. I don't live that life around them like that to understand it fully. Just like when white people give black people certain things, like, okay, you should be happy now. Like, no, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than you just giving me a front seat on the fucking bus. It's more than that. And so with that being said, I understand why one is it's good that Flame Monroe is supporting Dave like she is. I'm happy with that. And it shows that the other side, that his, you know, the LGBTQ, everyone doesn't feel the same way about Dave. So that's a good thing.
So let me ask you this, Pierre. After Dave's special, do you feel more empowered as a comedian to push that envelope?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Now, I've always, like Capone and probably Vanessa, I've always pushed the envelope. You can see how I talk on here, how reckless I am on my Instagram page. I push the envelope anyway, damn it, with him, without. But now I can point to what he did and say, hold on, y'all didn't cancel him. Y'all not jumping down his store. Y'all ain't canceling him, so why cancel me? So now I have something to say that before it was, it wasn't. It was like, nigga, anybody talk bad about somebody, y'all need to be canceled. Well, you ain't doing it to Dave. So if you ain't doing it to Dave, don't do it to me. as far as canceling me because you don't like what I said, or any comedian, really, any of us, man. We're here to entertain. Just because you don't like what we're saying does not mean you should write us off or we should be written off. It's entertainment. It's like music, like hip hop. There's different songs you like. You can't just be mad at somebody because it's not what you like and you want them canceled. Who the hell? I might not like what you're wearing. Shit, cancel them shoes. Cancel that shirt. Nigga, shit. I'm tired of the outfit you wear all the time. Bummy.
Capone,
cancel your ass.
Capone, I'm gonna bring that same question to you. Do you feel empowered to push the envelope a little bit more after Dave's special?
I never stop pushing the envelope. Like Pierre said, anybody who knows me, I say what's on my heart. I'm never coming in malice. Funny is funny. And, you know, I speak a lot of truth and I teach as I talk. And so, you know, my set is not based on no specific thing with gay or LGBT people or black people or even white people. I touch a little bit of everything, but I do push the envelope and I've been pushing it.
I'll come to you, Vanessa. Do you feel empowered to push the envelope a little more if you weren't already?
No, not necessarily. I don't feel more empowered to push the envelope more. I feel more empowered to choose my words wisely. Again, we have bigger audiences than most people, and words have power to them, and we can choose to use our powers for good or use them just to have some fun or, you know, to educate. We can use them for whatever we want, but I think choosing your words wisely, treating people, you know, thinking about us as humans and thinking about how you would want to be treated, I think all those things are important. So being empowered to push the envelope more or to, ooh, I'm finna go deep, it's finna get worse. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it has to get worse. I just want it to get funnier. You know what I mean? Like I want to have more fun. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like I have to push an envelope to have fun. Again, I think I can choose my words and so that we can all enjoy, you know, the art.
Right.
Let me put one thing. It's funny when you, it's funny, you're right, Vanessa, but here's a crazy thing about people. I can say, I don't like apples, and people will cuss me out for not liking fruit. Mm-hmm. If people don't listen to what you say, you may want to say educationally and nice and everything, but people still have a way of listening to what they want to hear and turn it. Because like with Dave's special, I didn't see anything negative to the point where they should be all upset with him. They didn't hear it. They just felt it. They didn't hear what he said.
Well, I was listening very well, and he said some bullshit a couple times. You know what I mean? When it came to oiling us up and putting shorts on, it reminded me of an auction block. You know, it was just things that he said that he could have chose different words. And hey, it's him. He can use whatever words he chooses. That's all I was saying. I just think instead of feeling empowered to push an envelope, I felt more empowered to choose my words wisely. That's just how I feel.
Well, I think this week we're calling it Dave's week because, you know, people are still talking about Dave. You know, the CEO of Netflix has made it very clear that he doubles down on his support for Dave. And also there was supposed to be, and I don't know if it's still going to happen, but this Wednesday, the 20th, there was supposed to be a walkout, but Netflix ended up firing that previous employee because they did leak sensitive financial data. So as the week continues to unfold, I think we will hear more updates about Dave's special. So like it or not, we'll probably be talking about Dave for a little bit, but I appreciate you all for calling and chiming in. You heard from us, now we want to hear from you in the comments below. Will flame Monroe's support in Dave Chappelle's backlash? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in the comments.
It's gonna be in there.
You know something's gonna be in there, Lord.
Do you know the comedy culture? Play Comedy Hype, the game. Out now.